In this big barbecue world, not every backyard pitmaster can make the leap from cooking for family and friends to successful barbecue business owner, but there are a few talented, hardworking folks who do make that exact jump. Jordan Wright is one of those people. He's gone from a one man green egg operation to serving thousands of barbecue enthusiasts at 4 locations across Northwest Arkansas. And he's been named a semi-finalist for the James Beard Award, not to mention recognition from Yelp in 2024 as the best barbecue in America. So today we're excited to find out about Jordan Wright's journey and what you can expect if you visit a Wright's barbecue location. Jordan, welcome to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you on. And I'll tell you, I've got a few friends that are singing your praises in Northwest Arkansas, or NWA, as I think you guys call it out there. So I can't wait to share your story with our audience. But first, a quick invitation for folks who are in the audience today. Please visit our website, lowslowbbqshow.com. That's where you'll find interview with pitmasters from all across the Carolinas and the barbecue world in the South. We've got blogs with recipes and restaurant details and reviews, and you can check us out on Instagram as well at Low and Slow Barbecue Show. You'll see pics and videos from some of our barbecue adventures and our favorite barbecue bites. And finally, subscribe to our newsletter, The Lowdown. We'll send the latest Carolina barbecue news and events to your email inbox on Tuesday mornings just before dawn breaks. And that newsletter, you'll find it at lowslowbbqshow.com. It always includes links to our most recent podcast, including today's conversation with Jordan Wright. Jordan, before we get into your own personal story, let's talk about Wright's Barbecue. Give everybody a high-level introduction to your business.
Yeah, so Wright's Barbecue is a family-owned little barbecue establishment. We started in 2017 in Johnson, Arkansas. I started as a food truck in 16, just running it by myself with a few friends that kind of helped me every now and then when I had some events. And, over the last 8 years, we've grown to 4 locations, 3 up here in Northwest Arkansas, 1 in Little Rock. And, what you'll find at Wright's Barbecue is just people who love what they do. We love smoking meat and we love taking care of people, and hospitality is our number one goal. And so that's what we, push our team every day, just to treat each other and treat our guests like they want to be treated. And so that's what you're going to find when you walk into Wright's Barbecue, is a smiling face and delicious food.
That sounds great. So outside the hospitality, what do you feel like your specialty is there?
I mean, we do high quality meats. I mean, we're buying prime beef. We really take pride in making 100% of the meat we cook like as good as possible, as good as humanly possible. We spare no expense when it comes to what we buy. We're not out there trying to save money and sacrificing qualities of cuts. Our bacon burn-ins are phenomenal. We're known for our brisket. The bowls, the big car people love our Rocket Man, which is a loaded mashed potato. My good friend from Austin called it the barbecue KFC mashup, or whatever it's called, or whatever they made from back in the day when they just did the whole mashed potatoes, shoved fried chicken in it. But it's got brisket, mashed potatoes, bacon burn-ins, cheese toppings. It's delicious. And then we do all of our sides in the back of house. So we're making sides from scratch and just working our tails off to make good food.
Yeah. So how many folks you got working for you now?
Oh, we're upwards over 150.
Yeah, so that's a good crew of people. And why don't you walk through us a little bit about how the restaurant got started? You said you've been at it about 8 years, and you got started with the food truck, but maybe walk us through the progression from food truck into, a sprawling barbecue empire.
Yeah, I mean, really, when I decided to leave Tyson and go all in on barbecue, just had one food truck, and we were limited to one spot, one event. But I had enough capacity I had a little 250-gallon reverse flow. I had enough capacity to really cook for 2 events. And so I could cook on one trailer, cook enough to send a second trailer with food up to a different town or a different event. And so that started kind of like the wheels were turning kind of then, of just like, hey, if you can be in 2 places instead of one, you're just kind of expanding your footprint and being more available to guests. And so that was the summer of 17. And then this lease came up in Johnson. It was a super good deal. And we had already been doing our food truck there on the weekends. And we'd actually tried to go move down into Fayetteville on a corner. It was really hard to get in and out of, and it flooded every time it rained. And so, but then this antique shop went out of business, and they were like, "Hey, do you want this lease?" It was already a commercial kitchen in there, somewhat. I mean, we still did our dishes by hand for like the next 3 years, but it had the hood and it had all the licenses, so it wasn't hard to get approved. We did a light remodel and got in there and started serving counter service barbecue in October of 17. So that's kind of, at that point, we just kept growing and kept getting busier. And COVID, we ran a drive-thru and kept getting busier through even, the worst year, most people remember. And so, yeah, just kind of kept getting busier, and then opportunities have just come, and we've been really strategic in identifying those and trying to grow where it makes sense and not over leveraging ourselves.
Yeah, take me a little bit through that COVID experience, because again, I've got some friends in that part of the world, and they said that while COVID during that time, Wright's barbecue was a saving grace for us. He was serving food when really nobody else can, really maybe through some innovation on your part. So talk a little bit about how you were able to kind of meet some important food service needs at a time when a lot of folks weren't.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things. I think the resiliency of our team to keep showing up.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably number one that made it happen, which I was going to show up regardless. So we were going to figure out a way to serve barbecue. But like, just kind of being quick on the fly. I mean, we were kind of watching stuff that was happening in New York, Chicago, a week or two before it ever came here.
Mm-hmm.
So we were kind of watching that stuff, seeing what was going on, and then just adapting really quickly. We built our online ordering system, which was a total train wreck for the first 3-4 months. We did that, but it was still good. It still allowed us to take orders really quickly without being on the phone all the time and missing calls and people getting upset. So we just tried to lower customer friction in the call-ins. And then we were doing curbside. Everyone was doing curbside, walking out orders. That was a debacle. And because we just get too many orders, and it was a great blessing, but it was just too stressful. And then we started running online ordering and drive-through, but we were like, you know what? Everyone's in the same line. When you show up, we'll print your order. And just like Chick-fil-A, except we didn't have 2 lines, but when you show up, you tell us you're here, we'll then make your order. So everyone got in the same line. They'd be like, hey, I'm here for my online order. It's like, yeah, so is everyone in front of you. There's 7 online orders in front of you. And people are like, oh, okay. Well, I thought I was going to get it. It's like, hey, dude, it's 2020. You can not give me attitude. I'd just be like, hey, you're fine. Am I smiling? And so then, but then we tore down a tree, built a drive-through, and kind of ran out of our little side dining room, ran a drive-through for 8-9 months of COVID to March of 21. And then we opened a second store during COVID, and just to it was a trail side at the mountain bike trail. So a lot of people were riding mountain bikes, being outdoors. It had good patio. So it kind of got us into a second kitchen and running 2 stores. And so, yeah, it's just kind of wild though. COVID was wild.
Yeah, I think everybody can
great
agree.
Customer support.
Yeah.
Great customer support. And then I was really, I was super active on Instagram. We were delivering food the first days when it shut down, and there were no restaurants or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple days like that where everyone was afraid to even open doors and no one was coming out. And because 2 weeks to flatten the curve, we'll just stay in our house. And so then we were driving all around town, just delivering cold packs, with reheat instructions, and, dropping food off on the door, waving and leaving. And so a lot of that activity, I think, just kind of no one else was being active and we were being active.
You seized an opportunity there. That's great news. So let's get to 2025. Again, 4 locations. Maybe walk us through what somebody experiences. Again, understand great hospitality and know a little bit about the food. But if I walk through the door, what can I expect? Do I walk up to the counter? Do I come get seated at a table? Take me through the experience.
Yeah, so everywhere is counter service. I mean, we do have online ordering that you can go to go pick up spot at each store. But if you're walking in for the first time, you're walking in and you're jumping in line, looking at the menu, reviewing it. And then you walk up to a meat cutter who's asking you what you want for your proteins. and, just getting your order. And then he's starting the tray, cutting up meat right in front of you, weighing it all out, and then passing it down. You get your hot sides, cold sides, drink and pay, and rock and roll to a seat. And then we've got floaters floating around, checking on tables, pulling trays, and just that's it. That's the experience. So yeah, each restaurant's different. We don't have like a cookie cutter build. We've got a little old 100-year-old house in Johnson. We've got an even smaller, probably just as old house in Bentonville. We've got a 3,500 square foot like end cap in Rogers, and then we've got a 7,000 square foot like Quonset hut in Little Rock. So Little Rock's a wild building, but it's fun.
Yeah, outside the building differences, is the menu the same? Is any of the experience different?
Same. Yeah, menu's the exact same. You're gonna get the same. You're gonna get the same customer service experience, the same meat cutting experience at every store.
Yeah. So, and kind of doing a little bit of back research, I understand maybe you got kind of a little bit of a Texas barbecue flavor, or do you feel like you're distinctly Arkansas, or where do you come in there?
Well, there's not really a distinctly Arkansas flavor, in my opinion. I mean, I think people try to I don't know, there's been a lot of chefs and food people throughout the years, and it's maybe a hot take, but it's try to define like Ozarks and Arkansas flavor. And look, Arkansas flavors, fried okra, fried squash, catfish, deer steak. I mean, that's what Arkansas is. Yeah. Like when it comes to your grandparents and what you grew up eating. And so, and barbecue's been mostly Delta barbecue. A lot of Memphis inspired. Whole Hog was here. They won some Memphis in May competitions. So we had some competition type cook stuff. But when in 2009, when Franklin came on the scene and started doing brisket and high quality, I didn't have Texas barbecue till 2013 when I was down in Austin visiting. And once I had that moist brisket, I was like, man, I got to figure out how to cook this. This is awesome, and we don't have this. Then kind of through touring down there through a few restaurants and meeting people, it's like, okay, this is really good food. I don't think we had a place that was like a Texas barbecue place, but they didn't buy good meat, and it wasn't popular. It was called Buck Naked Barbecue, and it was in this giant space. It was an offensive name. And then no one wanted to go because it was an offensive name. And then two, they were counter service, but it was just not a very well run establishment. And by the time it got to 2015, 16, all these guys were opening up down. There's Killen's Barbecue in Pearland. I went to Heim in Fort Worth, Cadillac in Dallas. I'd made it to Franklin by then, and just that different level of care that's shown to, a Texas style cooked brisket. We definitely do Texas style cooked brisket. Our ribs are kind of a blend of Texas and KC a little bit. They're a spare rib. They're a nice rib. They're real meaty. But we mop and glaze those. And so that's Texas is just salt and pepper usually on ribs. And so, and then we make our own sausage. So we do some things like Texas places, and we do some things, like we want to do, because really Arkansas, where it sits, is in between Kansas City, Memphis, and Texas. So we're in the Bermuda Triangle of barbecue is what I call the state of Arkansas. And so you can be whatever you want. I mean, I think if you make food that you like and other people like it, to me, that's the food I make. I don't want to make food that people don't like to buy.
Right.
So, and I like to eat it. I mean, if I like to eat it, I still eat it every opportunity I get. So, everyone's like, do you ever get tired of barbecue? And I'm like, well, no. Do you get tired of burgers or pizza?
Or water? No. That's a great strategy. If it's something you like,
I don't get tired
keep doing it. Keep doing it and serving it.
So
I know you've got a little bit of a tie-in with Arkansas athletics. I saw something about the Big Pig Fund. Tell us a little bit about your ties to the Razorback Nation.
Yeah, so in 2020, well, I've always grown up a Hog fan. I mean, my dad was a big Razorback fan. I grew up in Little Rock and came to a few games every now and then up here. But, when I was 8 years old, we went to the national championship game, won it, and in basketball, and then went to the Final Four the next year, lost in the championship game. When I was 12, we were undefeated going into Tennessee, and the Sterner stumble happened, lost to Tennessee, and then ended up losing to Mississippi State in a game we shouldn't have lost. But we were 8-0 going to Tennessee. That was 12 years old. That's when your fandom, I think, 8 to 12 is when your fandom really builds. And we had some great years. And then right after that, we have Darren McFadden when I was in college, and just had some great years. So huge Razorback fan. Our baseball team is obviously incredible, and has been. But in 21, the guys at the university were talking to me about sponsoring some stuff, and I was like, hey, I'll look into it, but I really want to be the, I want the concession stands. And so we looked at it. The people that were in there before was a chain, and they had done okay, like not really that good volume, and it was COVID year the year before. But even in 19, we weren't a very good football team, so their sales were down. Well, in 21, we took over the 6 stands in that stadium in football. Took over 2 in basketball and 1 in baseball, and it just went nuts. I mean, we were selling 120 briskets and 130 butts on a Saturday
Wow.
football. So that's a lot of barbecue.
Yeah.
And so then at that time too, there was NIL was just kicking off, and so I was like, you know what? It's like I want to create my own NIL deal, and it never really formulated. I tried to build it to be like the Grove. I mean, I had plans. We had big meetings with big guys trying to build like this huge NIL fund, and it really needs to be alumni ran. But no one wanted to do it. No one wanted to take the time, because you really just have to build another company, and you've got to invest the time in. It's fundraising full time. To build a fund and manage a fund like that, and you have to have university buy-in and support. So the university wanted to do their own thing, so we kind of just let them end up taking it over. But now we just do occasional deals with players and just have fun with it.
Yeah. Hey, do what you do, man. That's make good barbecue and serve it to the masses there at War Memorial Stadium or all the other good places that the Razorbacks are going to play, right? So what were you doing before you got into barbecue as a full-time gig, and how do you feel like that positions you for success in the business?
So I was at Tyson Foods doing food service sales, and just honestly, that job was a lot of sausage and fully cooked toppings and meats, prepared meats for industrial use. So it was a lot of plants, a lot of time in plants, a lot of time, looking at costs of proteins, et cetera. So a lot of meat, a lot of commodity understanding, and, how meat markets were moving and how they did move, and did a lot of poultry training when I was on the poultry side of things. And so just kind of a well-rounded Tyson world of, they do everything. And then I participated in a lot of just kind of R&D projects with all the brands we worked with, within our group, looking at new pepperonis, looking at new sausages, looking at new toppings, new chicken tenders, whatever it may be. So I think just interest in food and just generally tasting food, and, kind of food ingenuity, food R&D, and, kind of laugh now about the chemistry set story. It's like, that really, like, food is chemistry. And so flavors are chemistry. So it kind of actually all probably actually worked out. So, and I do love messing with that stuff. So yeah, that's what I was doing prior to kind of getting obsessed with smoking meat.
Yeah. Well, what do you think it is about the smoking of meat that kind of drove the obsession for you?
Well, I think early it was like, hey, I've got a kid's birthday party and I can do this, and for $12 I can buy a pork butt and, serve 15, 20 people. And, and so then I just kind of kept just getting better at it. And then once I, kind of got the idea of like, hey, look, maybe a food truck, is a good idea. I'd been cooking and bringing food to people and taking care of weddings for friends. And so it kind of steamrolled into kind of a momentum type deal of, I really like doing it, and I liked the art of it, and, doing different types of ribs, doing different, brisket then became kind of this muse of like, all right, it's really hard to do a brisket on the green egg. If the green egg could ever like create like a brisket holder that somehow held a brisket vertically and could cook it, that would be ideal. But you just can't do that. So it's just hard to cook a brisket from the top, from bottom heat, even with the plate setter. And so, that's kind of probably what got me into like, all right, now I'm gonna learn how to do brisket, and okay, really it's equipment, it's running fires right, and then getting a feel for bark development. And yeah.
Cool. So what do you enjoy about the barbecue business? The whole business piece of it, not just the smoke and the meat, because that's, everybody enjoys that, right? But what do you enjoy about it?
I enjoy the people. We've got a great team, and I mean, I think that's what the reason we've been able to do what we've been able to do is because the people around me, and um, we've just got the best people. And if we go to an event, that's kind of the main thing we hear is like, main thing I hear is like, man, I'm just so impressed by your crew, like so impressed by your crew, and they all enjoy cooking. They get to cook outdoors. All of our smoke, it's like you're getting to do what you love and do it outdoors and get paid well to do it and cook with your friends. Like we've been pretty, we like hiring people that we like and that we get along with. And so when we, you know, if they can treat people well and have a good time doing it, like my son yesterday was like, I need to go spend time with, Chick-fil-A and, learn how they hire whenever, if I ever own something. I was like, well, that's good. That's good wisdom too. It's like, we do a pretty good job ourselves just of choosing, there's lots of talented people, but some are not good culture fits. Some,
Mm-hmm.
have huge egos and want to argue all the time. And so it's like, some don't want to smile at customers. Like, guess what? You're not going to have a place at Wright's Barbecue if you're not kind to people. And so, I think that's probably the thing I love most about it is just at this point, being a leader and running the business and trying to make good decisions and grow the business so I can help other people have more opportunities. I mean, that's really the main driving factor between, growing more stores is really just we've got great leaders, we've got future leaders, and if we don't grow more stores, then they kind of really just peter out and there's not much movement because
Mm-hmm.
those guys that are doing really good, that are aces, are going to be in their spot. And so we keep looking at opportunities to grow. But that's what I probably like about it is just taking care of people and having fun and getting to run it.
Yeah. So talking about as you're growing and seeking out those other opportunities, what's the learning curve been like for you moving from those birthday parties to, to food trucking to, again, 4 restaurant locations? That's not a small enterprise.
No, it's very large. I feel like so it's definitely large for a small business. We're kind of like more of a medium size, I guess, now. But it's one of those things that like as you go do a smaller event, you learn lessons, and
Mhm.
and then as you get bigger, you take on more challenges and solve problems, and so it just becomes problem solving. So those are your big hurdles. Is really, can you solve problems? Can you solve them on the fly? And sometimes, but if your fundamentals are really good, you know how much to serve people, like, catering wise, we know people are going to eat between a third pound to a half pound. Like if you want a half pound, you're going to make sure no one's going to run out. If you get an 8 ounces of protein per person across a party, you're going to be well taken care of and you're going to have some extra probably. Unless you're serving like 25 construction workers, but even then that 8 ounces of just protein with the sides, I mean, that's like a pound of food for them to eat. And that's a lot.
Mhm.
So, it's just learning lessons. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
there's been some hiccups and times where things have ran late and, we've learned to be more ahead and learn to plan better. And so yeah, the company has changed a lot from day one to like, oh hey, I think I need 3 port butts for this to okay, we got to plan. These 4 stores are all planning, everything right now from how much chicken, how many cases of chicken they're going to cook each day, what their catering orders are, how many briskets we need to deliver, how many racks of ribs are we going to go? What do we have extra last week on the same day? Is the weather better this week? And so there's a lot of forecasting and planning that goes on
Mhm.
that you just kind of pick up and start
Yeah.
doing.
Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about some of those accolades I mentioned there at the top. You were named Best Barbecue in America for 2024 by Yelp. And then the James Beard Foundation announced you were a semi-finalist for Best Chef in the South. What kind of, how does that recognition affect your business? What does it mean to you?
It definitely affects our business positively. I mean, we had a great Like I think that news came out on the James Beard semi-finalist deal mid-January,
Mm-hmm.
and the next 3 months have been awesome. Now we're always ticking up in March and April, just because January and February are always slow. But our February was really strong. Last year the Yelp top number one of the top 100 was really cool because hey, there's lots of lists, and you kind of do like once you're in it. The only thing that really matters is, are your guests happy
Mm.
consistently? Because like it's like a trophy to me. I mean, like we don't have barbecue trophies everywhere. I've done a few competitions, finished pretty well. There was a Fayetteville competition when I first got my food truck. Finished maybe third in pork and like eighth in chicken. Did terrible in brisket, but I'm not a competition brisket cook. I'm a Texas style brisket cook. And then I did one in Texas, and we won first place in the brisket during that. And it was like, trophies from 10 years ago, it doesn't matter to me as much as like guests being happy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really, if you can't make a guest happy today, they're not going to come back tomorrow. And like the only thing that matters to us is tomorrow's meal. So all the accolades or whatever, it's like really good encouragement for the team. The team is always pumped when we get that stuff. Um, because they've worked hard for it, and like we've worked hard for it, and but there's lots of barbecue restaurants that work hard for it every day that don't get that type of recognition, but are doing excellent work and great, and they have great customers. So at the end of the day, it's, can you make your guests happy, and then are they going to enjoy today's meal? I mean, it's Tuesday, it's first day of the week, so we've already cooked for today. Today's in the books. Tomorrow we're focused on tomorrow already. So that's kind of, it's kind of every day for us. So
Yeah. So what's on the horizon beyond just tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but in the long range, what happens next for Wright's Barbecue?
oh, we're looking around, just trying to find a good opportunity. Just trying to find a spot. Who knows when it comes to like, everyone's like, well, how many of your locations do you want? I'm like, it's such a tough question because like our big onus has always been on quality, and
Mm-hmm.
you know I tell people all the time, we grow at the pace of our leadership. And so as we have leaders grow, and as we have store leaders grow, as we have pit leaders grow, like that then opens up an opportunity to say, hey, you know what, we have the right leadership team in place to send to wherever, next
Mm-hmm.
city. And at that point, if we cook good food, really good food like we do, and we give them great service, there's a lot of really bad restaurants that have really average food but good service and still stay somewhat busy. So a lot of places have great food, bad service, stay okay busy. But I mean, for us, it just seems like if our fundamentals are strong with how we cook and how we treat people, like we could really open anywhere, and I really wouldn't be, afraid. I don't really think of things in terms of competition or competitors. I feel like every restaurant in the world is a peer.
Mm.
We're all doing the same thing. We're all trying to make people happy with food and fill a need in the community. And so, if we find a community that has a gap, and we have customers that want it, it's like it's really hard to keep it from 'em for too long.
Yeah. So as we kind of wrap it up here, I want to ask you, I know it's a busy job. You're calling from your vehicle. You said you don't have any office. I know you drive from location to location a lot. And again, stay very busy. And of course, barbecue world is an overnight, early morning kind of thing, prepping things. But, what keeps your fires burning, and what keeps your passion alive for barbecue?
I think really just the community of like the community of people we have. Obviously the the even the community of barbecue guys I know across the country that we keep really good touch with, that are all doing the same thing. I think it's really easy to get in the doldrums of just like, hey, we do the same thing all the time, or our customers just want regular barbecue. We don't get to do Asian fusion stuff or tech, all the time. It's like we can do it, we will do that, and sometimes we do it and it sells okay. And but the majority of our customers are coming for brisket, rib, sausage, mac and cheese, potato salad, green beans, and collard greens. So it's like I think what keeps my passion drive is like that pursuit for better quality. Like we're always pushing to either get more efficient or or get better at what we do and flavor. And so, I think there's a never ending, there's a never ending path in the road to improvement. You can just keep getting 1% better every day. And so that really, at the end of the day, I'm a competitive person. I want to win. And so to me, that looks like us winning, from an operations standpoint and, making sure we're making money to keep people employed and keep our business growing. And, that's kind of what keeps it going now.
And there it is, the final word from Jordan Wright, the founder of Wright's Barbecue. They're serving wood-fired smoked meats in Northwest Arkansas and Little Rock and Arkansas athletic activities for the University of the Razorback fans. Check them out. Even if you aren't a Razorbacks fan, it's good barbecue there at their athletic activities. And of course, you can learn more about his business and the barbecue at wrightsbbq.com. That's Wrights, WRIGHT, wrightsbbq.com. Jordan, thanks so much for joining the Low and Slow Barbecue Show.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank everybody out there for listening. And if you like what you hear, give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast stream. You can also share our podcast with your friends or visit us at lowslowbbqshow.com. While you're there, sign up for our newsletter, The Lowdown. And don't forget, we're on YouTube now. You just find the video from this event as well as other festivals and barbecue stops around the country. Thanks to our production team at the Mesh.tv network of podcast. That includes our all-star producer, Andrew Moose, who's bringing live music to downtown Hickory all summer at The Hum. Check out this year's lineup at thehum.live and plan to see one of those shows if you're in the area. Thanks for all you do, Andrew. And thanks again to Jordan Wright from Wright's Barbecue. And most especially, thank you all for listening. Remember, for the best barbecue and the best barbecue podcast, make it low and slow.